Hello friends, today I'm going to show you how to make mini rubber stamps. This is a really fun and simple process that can yield stamps that you'll enjoy using for a long time. Let's start by going through some of the supplies. So you'll need a rubber carving block, and these aren't very expensive, or you can even use an old eraser. You'll also need some kind of design that you'd like to carve. You can draw your own or find inspiration online and print it out. These are a few designs I was inspired by on Pinterest. I tend to gravitate toward plant and animal symbolism, and I kept them small and simple so I know they won't be too difficult to carve. You'll need a utility knife, also called an X-Acto knife, and you'll need a lino cutter. And I only have one blade type, which works perfectly fine, but you can also get sets with different blades. You'll also need an ink pad in any color, and some regular paper, and a little bit of tracing paper to transfer your design. You'll also need scissors, a pencil, and some tape. So to start, you're going to trace and transfer your design. Tape your tracing paper over your design so it doesn't move around, and then you'll go ahead and trace all of your images. I like using an HB pencil, but really any pencil will work. Just make sure that your design is really nice and dark. I think part of why I enjoy this process so much is that I like working small. It feels less intimidating, and a tiny stamp can be a safe container for a symbol or idea. You can use them in journals, letters, or zines, and because they're carved by hand, every print ends up a little different and somewhat wonky, and I think that that's part of their charm. I'm just going to go ahead and cut these a little bit smaller so that they fit onto my block. So now, take your traced design, turn it over and burnish it onto the rubber block. You can use the handle of your lino cutter, the back of a spoon, or any hard flat surface. Just rub firmly to transfer the graphite onto the rubber. Once your designs are transferred, you can go ahead and trim your stamps. I like cutting them fairly small because the less extra rubber there is, the less carving you'll have to do later. So I usually trim pretty close to the edges. Now I'm going to start carving these two flower stamps. I wanted one of them to be a positive space design and the other one to be a negative space design. The main thing I want you to remember is that whatever you carve away will become the white part of the final print. So just keep that in mind as you're carving. And another thing that helped me when I was learning this is realizing that you're not really digging into the rubber with the lino cutter. It's more like you're gliding across the surface, kind of like skating. So try to keep the tool fairly parallel to the block. And just take your time. It's much easier to remove a little more material later than it is to fix a cut that's too deep. Alright, I'm going to do a test print now. And I can already see a few spots that need a little more carving. That's one of the nice things about using ink, is it shows you pretty quickly where you need to make adjustments. So I'm going to go back in and clean up those areas that weren't carved deeply enough. You can kind of see around the edges where some ink is still sticking to the corners. I sometimes like using the X-Acto knife for certain details, especially around the edges where I want a little more control. Okay, so I think these are ready. Let's do another test. That's looking a lot better. Now you can see I got those edges out and it's looking a lot cleaner. I actually really like how these turned out. I know they're not perfectly uniform, but honestly, I think that's what makes hand-carved stamps so appealing. And that's the whole process. I went ahead and finished the rest of these designs, and it didn't take too long. So I hope this inspires you to make a few stamps of your own. I really think there's something special about creating your own little collection of images and symbols that you can return to again and again. If you decide to try this, I'd love to know how it goes for you, and I'll see you in the next video.